Yo, what is up, guys? Welcome to module 4 of this entire guide. Today, we're going to be talking about the 80-20 rule. So far, guys, we've talked about how many calories you need based on your goals, whether you want to gain weight, lose weight, or simply maintain a healthy body weight. We've talked about your macros, so how many macros you need, how much protein you need per day, how many carbs you need, how much fat you need. And then we talked about last time about how and when to make adjustments to your diet when you hit a plateau, right? Because like we talked about, you will hit a plateau. It's inevitable. It's just part of the process. So what changes should you be making? However, so far we have not yet talked about what foods you should actually be eating. I mean, it's all well and good knowing how many calories you need to eat and our macros, but then what specifically should we be eating? Like what type of protein should we be eating? What type of carbs should we be eating? What type of fat should we be eating? What quality of foods in general should we be eating? So that's exactly what we're going to be discussing in today's session. So buckle up and let's dive into it. So this is the golden rule. I always preach the 80-20 rule in my program. I've done a bunch of trial and error, a bunch of experiments. Personally, it was just with myself a lot of the time. And I used to go through a lot of, like, I've done everything in the past. Like I got into fitness, into like lifting weights when I was like 14, 15. I did the dirty bulk. I did the clean bulk. I did the 80-20 rule. I even did like keto diet for a bit. I've tried everything under the sun, right? What I found that not only works for myself, but for pretty much everyone that I've worked with who has seen amazing and phenomenal results is the 80-20 rule. And now basically what the 80-20 rule means is that, really simply put, as the name implies, 80% of the time, I want you guys to focus on mainly whole, natural, single ingredient foods. And now if you have a hard time figuring out what type of foods that includes, I simply just want you guys to think of literally foods that only have one ingredient. So right now, grab a pen and paper and write down a list of 10 foods that you could think of right now that only have one ingredient in them. Let's start with the proteins. Any meats like chicken breast should only have one ingredient in them, right? Not the fried chicken you see in the frozen aisle section, not the fried chicken from KFC, not the chicken McNuggets from McDonald's, none of that stuff, because obviously they're fried and they're breaded with a bunch of oils, breadcrumbs, all that garbage stuff, right? That is not a single ingredient food. Chicken breast, however, is, or chicken thighs, chicken drumsticks, whatever type of chicken cuts you want to pick, that is a single ingredient food. Same thing with like steak. Steak is a single ingredient food. Fish, salmon, eggs, those are all single ingredient foods. Moving over to the carbs, think of like your whole grains, your rice, your oats, your potatoes, your sweet potatoes, any type of potato there is. There's the russet potato, there's the red potato, the yellow potato. There's different types of potatoes. Any type of potato usually only has one ingredient in them, right? Do not think of the fries. Fries are not a single ingredient because they're fried in salt and oils, different types of oils, deep fried. You do not want that. Fruits, amazing source of carbs. Vegetables, phenomenal. Think of your fats now. Your whole eggs, great source of fat. Your nuts, any type of nuts, any type of nut butter as well. Here's the thing. Do not go for the sugary type of nut butter. I mean, you could definitely go ahead. You definitely can. I'm not saying you can't, but preferably, if you still want to consider it a single ingredient food, most nut butters, if you can, should only have one ingredient. Any peanut butter, if you get the natural version, should only have one ingredient in them, which is just nuts, right? Some of them may have some added salt, which is fine. I personally do enjoy the salt. Adds a bit more of a flavor to it. Cashew butter, almond butter is phenomenal. Your seeds, your flax seeds, your chia seeds, those are also single ingredient foods, great sources of fats. Avocados, those are personally my favorite source of fat. So those are all examples of single ingredient foods. I'm sure you guys can think of, and even if you look at a food item, right? Like you can have something in your hand and look at it and pretty much say, okay, does this have one ingredient in it? Does this carrot only have one ingredient? Does this apple only have one ingredient in them? Yeah, they do, right? Whereas does this piece of pie only have one ingredient in them? Probably not, right? So focus on that 80% of the time. And then the other 20%, you can indulge in whatever junk or sweet foods you may desire. So these include foods that have more than one ingredient in them, aka processed foods. Now, keep in mind, guys, some healthy foods do have multiple ingredients in them, right? Especially like if it's like a recipe or it's like a homemade meal that has numerous single ingredient foods within it. Let's say you're making like a homemade casserole dish with like potatoes, single ingredient foods, steak, that's a single ingredient food, onion, single ingredient food, and then all this other like seasonings to it as well. Like that is still considered like a healthy type of food because you made a recipe out of using only single ingredient foods, right? And now when it comes to the processed foods, like again, you guys don't need me to tell you this, but just think of any junk food, sweet foods like your chips, nachos. I'm coming with some random stuff right now. Burgers from Burger King, fried chicken from KFC. You guys know exactly what I'm talking about, right? Cookies, cakes, sweets, all this stuff is all the processed foods. So 20% of the time, you can definitely indulge in that. Now, the reason why I'm a big advocate of the 80-20 rule is because, like I mentioned to you guys, I have tried every type of approach when it comes to my diet, when it comes to my nutrition under the sun. I've tried restricting myself for a long time, and I've tried to not restrict myself at all for a really long time. I've tried to exclude entire food groups out of my diet, and I've landed to this conclusion right here, the 80-20 rule. And that is because not only does 80% of the time eating those healthier foods makes you feel a lot better, it improves your performance in the gym, it improves your mood, it helps you just like feeling energized throughout the day. Because when I went through like my dirty bulk, right, I mean, it sounds fun on paper. You get to eat pizza, burgers, fries all day long, while still, of course, hitting your calories and macros, but you just won't really feel as optimal. Like you'll have greasy hair, you have greasy skin, you'll have like wrinkles, you have those zits, you have those pimples coming in, you have a lot of mood swings, you're gassy, you're bloated, you're just not in an ideal situation at all to perform at work, to perform for your family, to perform at the gym. So that's not going to put you in a good situation, right? And so by eating those healthier foods 80% of the time, it's going to make you feel on top of the world, it's going to make you feel energized, it's going to make you feel satiated, and just going to overall make you feel a lot healthier, right? And here's where the other 20% comes into play. Because if we were to only eat those types of healthy foods, right, like you're obviously going to feel really deprived. Because as soon as I tell you, like, hey, Jonathan, you can never have pizza for the rest of your life again. Like I'm literally staring at this pizza like for the past couple of minutes now, and I'm literally getting hungry as we speak. And it's like I could realistically never see myself never eating pizza again. I mean, could you really see yourself never having a slice of pizza ever again just because you got into this fitness lifestyle? I mean, if that's the case, I don't even think I would be into fitness, to be honest, because pizza, burgers, fries, like all this good stuff, despite me having it just in moderation, I could see myself, like I could not see myself living life without that. Because life is all like, it's a big chunk of life is about food, whether it's culturally or traditionally. Like food is a big part of our lifestyle, and I always tell this to you guys, I want fitness to enhance your lifestyle and not take over your lifestyle. So if you're making these crazy sacrifices by not eating out with your friends anymore, by not having your mom's homemade pie anymore, I mean, that's a big sacrifice. And if you can really see yourself never doing that again for the rest of your life, which I doubt 99.9999% of people cannot do, then don't do it, right? Because you can just simply follow the 80-20 rule. And so the reason why we include the other 20% of the time when you can eat the junk foods, you can eat the sweet food, is because you will not feel as deprived anymore. Balance ultimately is the key to seeing long-term, and not just long-term results, but sustainable results. So this means, yes, you can still eat your favorite foods while reaching your fitness goal. So it's almost like the best of both worlds. Now, you guys are probably wondering, should I follow the meal plan or should I just count my macros on my own? That is a phenomenal question, and I'll answer that right now. So if you guys are part of the VIP program, all of you guys, I've given you own customized meal plans with the foods you actually enjoy eating. And now the reason why I've given you the meal plan is for a number of reasons. So firstly, it gives you a great kind of like idea of what an actual healthy meal looks like, because I have a lot of folks coming into the program who are kind of like new to this, and that's totally fine, right? But most people don't really know what like a healthy meal looks like, or actually like what a serving size looks like. I talked about this in the last guide or in the last module, but I talked about how I had no idea how big a tablespoon of peanut butter actually was. And yeah, realistically speaking, I was having like what I thought was just 1 tablespoon. When I actually measured it out, it was actually like 50 grams, which is like 3 or 4 tablespoons combined into one. And I thought that was like one serving size, right? So it's a great kind of place to start if you have no idea how to measure your food, what a serving size looks like, or simply how to create a healthy, balanced meal. Like, where are your vegetables in this meal? Where are your carbs? Where are your healthy fats? Where's the protein? Making sure you include all food groups within every single meal you eat is a great kind of like thing to do, obviously. And a meal plan can help guide you to kind of like give you inspiration and ideas on how to do that. However, here's the thing. I do not want you to feel restricted or limited to just following the meal plan, because going back to what I talked about, flexibility is the key to sustainability and longevity in this, right? And as soon as you kind of like restrict yourself to simply just following this meal plan, or like just following this specific diet, you're restricting yourself from like all the other foods that are not part of the meal plan, right? And so I do not want that for you guys. Again, the meal plan is just there to give you some meal ideas and meal inspirations. It's not there to like, okay, these are the only foods you can eat, these are the only meals you can eat. Absolutely not. You can still eat your own kind of foods. Like if you have your own kind of breakfast that you would normally eat, and your own kind of lunches and dinners and your own kind of meal prep, that is totally fine. As long, here's the caveat, as long as you hit your daily calories and macros for the day. Because the way I've designed your specific meal plan is that it aligns perfectly to your own customized calories and macros. So it's almost like a foolproof way to ensure that you hit those calories and macros, right? I do have a couple people in the program right now who do kind of struggle hitting their calories and macros. And every time I kind of like see people struggle hitting their goals, I'm like, okay, well, you got this entire 7-day meal plan list. You got a bunch of recipes here. You got a bunch of meal inspirations here. If you have a hard time figuring out what you should be eating on your own, just please revert to the meal plan section, revert to your own meal plan, and literally just like follow it the way it's listed out, and you are going to hit your calories and macros, right? Like if you don't want to be thinking about what you should be eating for breakfast every single day, if you don't want to be thinking about what you should be meal prepping for lunch at work or what you should be cooking up for dinner, I would advise following the meal plan. Real talk, guys, what I do personally is I'll go grocery shopping once a week on a Sunday. I'll buy all the foods that I would think I would need for the entire week. I'll buy my carbs, my sweet potatoes, my rice, my potatoes. I'll buy my proteins, my chicken breast, my beef, my fish. I'll buy my healthy fats, my nut butters, my avocados. I'll buy my eggs, all that good stuff. And now once I have all that food ready for me to go, I'll batch cook it. So I'll batch cook my chicken breast. I'll batch cook my beef. I'll batch cook my potatoes and rice. And then all I have to do throughout the week, because I do not want to be thinking about, okay, what should I eat for breakfast today? What should I eat for lunch today? What should I have for dinner today? I'm a busy guy. I'm running errands all throughout the day. I'm sure you guys are as well. And the last thing I want to do when I come back home is figuring out what should I be making for dinner, right? So when you refer to a meal plan or when you have a meal plan set in place, it just kind of like takes all the guesswork out of it, right? It saves you so much time. It saves you so much energy and so much brain power as well, which is a really underrated thing. A lot of people don't think about this, but the amount of time you spend thinking about what you should be cooking for dinner, what you should be having for breakfast, what you should be having for lunch, what clothes I should be wearing today. Like all these things you can just simply just like plan ahead of time or at least systemize to some extent to not make you think as much about that and use that brain power instead on more difficult tasks in your day, like actually doing your day-to-day job at work, right? So that's something I do personally. And again, there's no right or wrong answer here. If you want to follow the meal plan, absolutely go ahead. There's a reason why I've given it to you. But if you don't, totally cool. Just as long as you track your calories and macros and hit your required calorie and macro goal, that's all that I'm asking for. As long as, again, you follow the 80-20 rule. Now, to conclude this presentation up, as I talked about, follow the 80-20 rule for a balanced approach to your nutrition. Do not restrict yourself from any type of foods. Do not go on like a crazy diet. Do not go on a super clean diet and do not go on like a super dirty diet. Just have balance. Like I know we like to be really like direct in terms of like, okay, I'm either cheating on my diet or I'm completely on top of my diet. However, that's not really how we operate. We operate based on continuums. So it's how much did you cheat on your diet or how good are you on your diet today? It's not one or the other. It's not like an on or off switch. It's like, how good are you at the thing? So balance is absolutely key here, 80-20 rule. So focus 80% of the time on eating a variety of healthy, whole, natural, single ingredient foods. And then you can definitely add in some sweets here and there to stay sane and, of course, satisfy that sweet tooth. So this approach allows you enough flexibility to still eat your favorite foods while reaching your fitness goals, which is like the best of both worlds. So hopefully you guys took something out of this presentation. If, as always, you have any questions for me, please let me know, and I'll see y'all soon. Peace.